Yep. So I won $1 and $2.
Oh wow, you did?
Golfing
You
stuff.
always win.
Oh, yeah.
One year didn't I win like $50 or something
What
like
you
that?
got, Matt?
Oh cool.
Yeah, keep
Oh.
This is for me.
Got my pile or your pile?
Did you get that from Steve?
Cool.
Gotta open at least
Yeah,
one.
I know, and it's
Which one's that?
the Scooby-Doo
Which
tag
one?
on there, yes.
Oh.
And I think that card goes with it, the ribbon.
Oh,
Who's that one from, honey?
Sean Barney.
You'll be practicing.
Steve
That's from.
and Dana and Matt.
Oh. Matt,
What?
Steve, and Dana, and Matt.
Oh, they all have a card during.
Or at least it's Steve.
Yeah.
Matt and
Listen, Steve. What did I say?
How do you
No,
get
I did
Happy
it wrong.
Thanksgiving to come off the screen?
Very careful.
Yeah. You know?
Birthday card can only be
I don't
opened by
have
the
it
perfect
on mine,
brother,
I
one who
don't
is
know.
kind, thoughtful, considerate, generous, and virtually faultless. You mean you actually tried to open it? Happy birthday. Sean,
No,
happy
you
32.
no, don't read that.
Don't read it.
Well, that's what I wrote.
You wrote it in a pen and it's like all smearing all over.
Oh, is it?
Love Dana and Matt.
Who's that from, honey?
Grandma and Grandpa.
Oh, that's nice. Boy, you guys don't need anything. I know.
No, they don't.
I better take back all your.
Thanks.
Okay, that one.
Well, I don't need anything.
Yeah.
Your stuff.
It's opening up on. I wonder what it is.
I wonder. Too
And that
This
one
is
with
from
Matt.
Ted Farrell, I
Yeah.
think.
The level, is that what you were?
Level.
Oh, I really did need this. Sucks.
Oh,
Yeah, you have to
Thanks,
wait till
Mom.
December for that.
Glad I didn't get underwear this year. Grandma's probably waiting for Christmas for that.
I've got it my own. I got enough for a whole year. Like it, honey?
There goes what I want for Christmas.
This guy's gonna have a new outfit every day.
I know it. Since you're in your uniform. You gotta
You
work.
need one of these, do you? I do.
Yeah.
You better go out a lot.
You already asked us for one, remember?
What?
They want you to take
Oh,
them out
cool.
more.
I asked for one.
Beef jerky. All right.
Whoa.
New cars.
I know, that used, Matt, I got a picture of that with you.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yes.
Oh, there you go. Those are handy.
I go over this way, Matt, sorry, your picture. Okay, hold up your Mountain Dew card,
Sean, you're
Matt.
30? Really?
That is huge, I think.
I didn't know that. Sean's 30.
Probably good you guys didn't know that.
You're right.
I can't wait to see their jeans.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I wanna see if they're too big. You guys say they're so big, I'd watch they just fit you.
I know, that's why I'm not trying mine on. I'm secretly taking mine back and get the bigger size.
We looked at the bigger size.
Yeah, they look too big.
Yeah. We thought, no,
I don't know.
goodness, look at all this stuff.
Best dressed kids in town, huh?
Now we have no excuses when it comes.
Yeah, really.
Now they have stuff to wear.
They're all gonna be
It's
twins
like
when they get to triplets when they get together.
It's almost 3 years.
No, we're gonna have to call everybody
I'll
up. You're not
try to make
wearing this
sure.
and that, are you?
Oh, don't let them fool you. I wear this, you wear that.
Space Center tour. There's our bus.
You know, the back of the bus is kind of scary. Brett's got his sunglasses on.
Hey, we're trying to suck up here. Leave us alone.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good, good. Hey, on behalf of over 2,800 Boeing employees here at the Kennedy Space Center, we welcome you this morning. Here, you guys are really a dynamic group. They sent two of us, two escorts today to handle you. My name is Albert Fazio. I work on the shuttle program. I've got over 12 and a half years experience on the program. And this morning we've got Steve Agate, who's got over 30 years experience out here at the center.
Some of the peoples of this earth. He boarded Vostok 1, made the trip into space. America answered that in about 3 weeks with a flight of Alan Shepard. And considering those first words, the Shepard's first words in space were A-OK. Everything is A-OK. And that was on May 5th. It was a Friday morning. It was a suborbital flight. The flight lasted only 15 minutes and 22 seconds. However, 20 days later, on Thursday, May 25th, 1961, President Kennedy went to the Congress. It was a joint session that was called. People usually remember that as the moon speech. It was called by Kennedy a second State of the Union for the year. That was the day, in that morning, that he issued the formal declaration or challenge of the moon landing. The speech in Egypt, 30 feet shorter than the Washington Monument. Its doors are big enough to roll the United Nations building in through. You can put Yankee Stadium, and as we continue up this side, we'll point out some of the historic paths that are going to lead up to our areas. Be far away from each other, and because they do, you have to have a lot of dead space. You don't want to have a lot of buildings in between. And a fellow named Cruikshank decided, hey, you know, we want to make this a wildlife refuge since you can't use it for anything else anyway, and so it was dedicated. One thing unusual about this area, it is, believe it or not, it is a habitat of more endangered species than any other for the concrete itself. There's a no smoking sign on the oxygen tank. It's the largest no smoking sign in the world. Yeah, we will be seeing alligators, that's for sure. You can keep your eyes out.
Blue heron.
Yes, we just passed the blue heron. Now, Pad A and Pad B are almost identical, except for elevation, just a few feet difference. But they are identical in terms of service structure itself. So I'll point out some things here that'll be the same at the others. That big white ball off to the right that says liquid hydrogen is our 850,000 gallon liquid hydrogen storage tank. It takes about 388,000 gallons to fill the shuttle for a launch. Liquid hydrogen, being light, has the ability to out to the pads. The operation takes about one shift or six to 8 hours, depending on stops, etc. The mobile launch platform loaded, the speed of the crawler transporter is limited to 1 mile per hour. As this pad was built for the Apollo vehicles and modified to accommodate shuttle. 300,000 gallon water tank that you see out to the side. It empties to cool down the pad during launch. There's a series of devices we call rainbirds on the pad that start propelling cold water. And what you see, most of the smoke you see at launch is pretty much steam.
be a lot to drive up to the pad surface or around the other side, which we call the boxcars. If you do have your own, as we have a lot of hazardous chemicals, and if we have to do an emergency evacuation, you need to know which way the wind is blowing and evacuate perpendicular to that. Here's one of the remote camera sites. So if you ever see the shuttle launches and some of these absolutely beautiful pictures, you can find this is where they were taken from. Yeah. Okay, be clear. One of them is a 400-pound camera. During one of the early launches, one of our training films shows what happens when some of the bolts weren't completely attached. So that camera casing, 400 pounds of it, was hauled off the mobile launcher, which sits right next to which is right under the solid rocket boosters, flung through the mobile launcher, flown across in the air, crashing through this fence here. Okay, so much is the force of a shuttle launch. And you're seeing you're at the wrong end of the pad right now. You're at the wrong end of the flame deflector. Okay, if you're going to taking pad pictures, this is probably as good as it gets.
Yeah, we'll stop the bus so everybody can put their cameras out the window if they want to take a few photos. Yeah, the windows won't open, we're told. Just as a point of information, at the very bottom of the external tank, it looks like there's a number 1 painted on there. That's actually not paint, and that's not a number 1. When the tank is shipped from the Michoud assembly facility in Louisiana, it is actually supported at that base point there, as well as on the 2 points where the solid rocket boosters attach. So when they lift the tank off of the transporter, they have a whole area there that has to be closed out with insulation. And so that is actually the applied insulation at KSC, and it's cured.
Here are those safety baskets at or safety bumpers. From here, the crew would go into the shelters underneath, and we'll show you the armored personnel carriers on the way back. In fact, there's one out there right now.
Just to give you a little bit of comparison, the top of that lightning arresting tower is at elevation 347 from the pad surface, which the Statue of Liberty on its pedestal, the elevation is 305 feet, so it's taller than the Statue of Liberty on the pedestal.
One of the most difficult things here about giving tours of the Kennedy Space Center is because Florida is so flat, there's not many things to compare things to, which is why we always spout off things about the Statue of Liberty or the UN, things that people
to load. We load them at T-minus 6 hours into the launch. One other thing, what we'll do is when we proceed out of this gate, we'll have the bus pull off to the side.
We've got a group photo. You can go down there in front of Discovery and we'll take your picture. Go all the way down to the side if you group photo. Brett. There wasn't much flying going on.
Wild boar coming up.
That are being activated as it's going up into its park position. We're headed over to the vehicle assembly building right now, where we'll be going into what's called the transfer aisle. That's a big open bay in the middle. As I mentioned before, there's there are live segments in that building. One portion of the solid rocket booster is being prepared for,
again, it's 41 feet taller than the pyramids. Since you can see the ceiling, we just say, since it's not the largest building in the world anymore in volume, it is certainly the largest single-story building in the world.
STS-99, which will be for the radar mission. They have live ordnance inside. Those little brown discs at the top are pressure sensor devices. It activates at certain altitudes. It's used for the recovery device. Houses a lot of the electronics, the brains of the boosters.
So this is the nose cone of the boosters?
Right, the nose cone area. It does not have propellant other than ordnance for separation of the nose cone, parachutes. Here, that's, we're preparing to lift one of the segments right forward, segment for STS-94.
That was out of the way. I can make it look like we were really taking a picture of that.
We use the term STS sometimes. Forgive me. We tend to use acronyms. STS stands for Space Transportation System. 103 happens to be.
Has a pretty good history to it. It deployed the Magellan probe that went to Venus, and also a Galileo that went to Jupiter, amongst its many other flights. You get a nice view of the assembly building right now. The flag is nearly 300 feet, the stars on it about 7 feet across. The bus could easily go up one of the stripes.
It's the cockpit of the shuttle Atlantis. You can see it going in that's the orbiter. It's the rear end of the orbiter where the engines go.
Yeah, primarily this is just the engine part. We call the other the orbiter. The engine part here, several other items here. It's got an ammonia spray boiler in there. We can use it for freon and install the avionics in the half compartment of the payload bay. But it's also used to take step forward on the crew compartment. Use freon to cool water for the crew compartment. We don't want the freon to hazardous body with the astronaut. I've got the...
There's the wing on the shuttle Atlantis. See the back engine mounts, and as you come over, there's the wing. See the NASA sign. Student launching Mark.
You got everybody?
Bottom of the wing.
All right. Good fall and we got the close to landing here.
All the tiles they talked about. You see the tiles. They're underneath the wing.
Number.
Here's the umbilical area where the attachment is to the external tank. Electrical connections, fluid connections, and structural connections. After the tank is on, you'll see that T-section like this, and then those doors cycle like that.
what that did is there's a piece of TSC or flight hardware that bolts onto that. That touches the piece. What happens is that separation inside there, and the guilty effect that will cut off that bolt. That bolt is pushed out into the external tank, and then it falls off and burns off the re-entry. And then the piece that falls out comes out flush to make sure we keep the outer mold line of the tile. Things like this that are all stored in that area. And once we get the area checked out, we close it out, we call it our flight. So you just really ready for the to be installed. And then in the aft, we have avionics bays inside the aft compartment. We call them aft bays 4, 5, and 6 in the aft, 1, 2, and 3, and then forward through the big body control bay, 13 individual bays.
Doors over here are the engine drying cells that just do the drying post-flight. It's critical that you not have.
This is the
John and I both worked at facilities.
Oh, you did?
That's what we were molding.
I introduced the bays and even the toolboxes. We looked at the toolboxes, we looked at the shadow, we looked at the
Like this. This is how you Up on top is the actual gimbal block that handles all the thrust through the orbiter thrust structure. This is a low-pressure fuel pump that interfaces with the orbiter fuel system manifold. Over there is a low-pressure oxygen pump that interfaces with the oxidizer side of the vehicle propellant manifold. This is a high-pressure oxygen pump. This one happens to be a Pratt Whitney pump. And on the back side is a high-pressure fuel pump. And again, it's staged combustion. The question you had on the where does it mount to the thrust structure, you have to get in there to see it, but there's unfortunately it's on the back side, the whole assembly. Might be, let's see, there should be another over here. Now they're both on the back sides. You can't really see them, but there's a big yoke back here that attaches to the main combustion chamber that's down here, and then comes up and attaches to that TVC actuator. We have a stiff arm, we call it, that holds everything together. It's an articulating system. All of these ducts, if you see these knuckles on, are actually bellows. So this whole system has to articulate when this engine moves. All these bellows have to move also from the lines. The lines with the bellows on them are called the articulating system, and the lines would be oh yeah.
Get close? Yeah, well, look.
They can make it almost work.
I don't know what that's with. John. Or, Jeff.
Yeah, just one of those
A little more. So we can get it there, but I don't know. I think It's still clear up there, you just don't get as good a view from this.
Once they get all the that's only there for support temporarily once they get all the panels.
There is a water bottle.
They got the
Look at them out there.
Oh yeah, baby. There's a big one. We'll see the runway from here.
That's the facility that takes the shuttle off the 747.
Yeah. Looks like it, doesn't it?
So they actually got some vehicles up there.
That's the only part of our tour that is open to the public.
Thanks.
So you'll be mingling with real live people. And because of that, you're going to be pretty much on your own. There are some recommendations I would make in this time, and we'll be there until 2 o'clock. And it'll take...
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Firing Room Theater. If you need to leave during the show, please use the doors to your right. As a courtesy to others, we ask that there was no smoking and no flash photography during the presentation. Thank you.
These are the very consoles we sat at when men first took off to fly to the moon. The tragedy of Apollo 1 had put us a year and a half behind. We were making up for it in one big leap, and we were doing it with a rocket that no man had ever flown before. It was a few days before Christmas 1968 when Apollo 8 sat on the pad. She was the first of a new kind, a moon rocket. This was the Phoenix, risen from the ashes of Apollo 1. The first Apollo crew did not die in vain. This was to be their testament. "36 stories high, she had been fully fueled throughout the night. The liquid oxygen in her tanks caused ice to form on the outside of the craft. The extreme temperature differences between the air and the sub-zero fuel caused the metal skin of the rocket to expand and contract. Everyone who was on the pad was straining at the leash.
Saturn rocket, actual Saturn rocket. Huge. Can't even get the bottom of it all. And the same, it's so big. Those are the 5 blast engines. And you can see it goes 400 feet.
todo.